Little interview for us, but Mom, I'm going to let you take over.
You're in there already now?
Yeah, it's on.
It's picking up everything now?
Everything,
good.
Yeah.
Now, how are you going to say? Here.
Introduce
Today.
yourself. Yeah. The date is March 27th, 1991.
So today is March 91.
27th. Yeah.
27th, no.
March 27th, 1991. We're at Bernard and Monica's living room out in Millet. And we want to talk about your life a little bit. Things I can't remember.
Now, here I must say, this is all to my children, my great-grandchildren, my great-great-children, in the future to come, that here I am, today. Beside my daughter Ingrid, I'm right now here at my son Bernard and Monica and his children. I'm in his house right now with my daughter Ingrid, that's what I should say. Well, never mind. That's how it is. So from here on to the future, you always have the opportunity to see your Grandma Miller, born in Russia, 1920, in a small town called Fifer. And the district called Saratov.
South Russia?
Saratov is whatever it is. So, and they call that Volga. So Volga people we are. The foreparents come from Schwaben. And that's about 250 years ago. So it's a long time that we
came. Miller's side. From
the whole system came. That one lady, Katerina Great, took a whole bunch out of Schwaben and settled it down by the Volga in Saratov, and built a little town as called Fifer. So what I've been asked by Ingrid here to give a little bit of a life story of mine. So you kids will never forget me. You always have a chance to see me in later years to come.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you were born in 1920, you said?
Mm-hmm.
And how old are you now?
I'm 70 years old.
This year, or were you 70 last year?
I am 70. In September the 21st, I'm going to be 71 of this year.
So what was your childhood like, Mom? Like you said yesterday that you could remember back to when you were 2 years old.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you remember when you were little? Where you lived, and what were the times like? What did the people live like there?
The people just lived, they had no electricity, no running water, and there were one little store in town, had matches and sugar, and there was no milk. Everybody had their own providing to do of raising their own crop, milking their cows, making their butter, and put their garden in, mix sour pickles, mix sauerkraut, and so on. And every day the baking comes Easter with special baking, comes Christmas there was special preparing, baking and meals, homemade noodles.
What happened when you, what are some things that stand out? Like by the time you were 6, were you still in Fifer?
Yeah. Yeah, I was ignored by my stepfather, so I running down the street and tried to get into my grandpa's house, back to my mom's house, and seems like nobody lets me in.
What did you do?
I took the hole out of my grandpa's and grandma's place and the defense and crawled in somehow.
Who looked after you mostly when you were between, like, from till 6 years old? Who did you
To
go
6 years old, I was taken care of by my grandpa Kieberlien and grandma Kieberlien, by my grandparents.
That would be your mother's parents?
Yeah. She's right in the picture there.
You have a picture of her?
No, you're just sitting out there and manifest.
Oh, yeah,
here.
I'll go get it for you. And so she stayed basically with you then?
No, they had 21 people in the house by grandchildren. Those days they marry and they stay in the house because they didn't have no place to go. And they had 10 kids, and there were about 4 or 5 married, and they had kids, so the family multiplied to 21 at the table to feed.
And whose family was that?
That was Grandpa and Grandma Kieberlien, yeah.
Oh,
that's where I stayed. They kept me since I was 6 years old. 7. When I became useful to my stepfather and my mother, when they had, there was a baby born, his name was Albus, my stepbrother, and that's where I became handy for them to look after the baby.
Elvis?
He's dead. He died when he was 5 years old.
So you had a brother too?
Stepbrother, he died.
That would be like Mary's brother?
That would be completely Mary's brother.
What did he die of?
Well, it was, we weren't around there anymore. We were drifting out of the place for starvation. And we lived, can't remember what the place called that was in the Russia part of it. They didn't speak German. We were a Germany colony, okay? And when we left that colony from there, we were under the Russian people. There were no German. And it was.
And did Elvis starve?
No, he died from pneumonia because he was outside in April and running around outside and catch the ammonia. And no doctors, no medication, no nothing. And he wasn't sick very long, maybe a day or 2, and he died.
And then when Mary was born?
Mary was born just on 1935. Mary's born in 1935. No, I was born 20. Yeah.
So you're 15 years older than her?
15 years, yeah.
So then what happened after Elvis died? You were helping look after him and...
No, I wasn't helping. It's just like you need a babysitter there. Go pick him up, feed him, or play with him, or whatever. This was the olden days. One kid has to dash in for the other one.
So then what happened by the age you were 10?
Just wander around and begging food, running from one place to another, and steal, and that's the starvation came.
Did you ever go to school, no?
Not one day.
Why? Did other kids get to go to school? Was there schools?
There were schools, but we never settled down in a place, and my stepfather would never allow me to go to school because I had to go and bake food to bring it home.
When did you talked about Grandpa going to jail or something and they were starving and you had to go and... when did that happen? How old were you?
That was in 1932. 31, 32. They took all the men in jail. And then we...
Why?
Well, that was the rebuilding of the communism. The people before that, like I said, they had their milking cows in their land, and they just put their crop together for the winter to survive. Everything was managed. And come Stalin along, the war. In the war, 1917, I wasn't even born. And then by 1927, Stalin had control. He had it all figured out and controlled. Now you give everything what you got. No more land, no more cows. It's called self-course. And that's where you go and work and get your, in the fall you get your share of crop, and that's how it went. But a lot of people didn't want to do that. Most of it didn't. And you don't do that and you don't sign, you go to jail.
So they went to jail.
They went to jail.
You were only 7 years old. 27, if you were born in 20?
No, he started on 27.
Oh.
And by the time he had that ruled out from 27, they start picking here a bit and there a bit, and then he was thinking people should go of their own free will, volunteering into him. And some people did. Some had nothing to lose or to give. Those people went right for the Stalin, for that system. They didn't want to work for a rich man, or they didn't have nothing, so they went that they gonna doing better than that. And so it stretched out by 1932.
Yeah.
33. He was the last thing. He put them all in jail. That they were all
And that's
sorted
when
out.
Grandpa went to jail and great-grandpa?
My grandpa went to jail, and my stepfather went to jail, and all the brothers. Some had a chance to escape before he wrecked them into jail. And my grandpa, my uncle Joseph Kieberlien, he just came back to want to rescue his family, and they caught him and right in 50 kilometers with the horse by 60 below, but it tied him on the sleigh. By the time he got to the jail, he was frozen to death. That's life. Yeah.
And so then you had to feed Grandma and...
No, I went out, when Grandpa was in jail, I had to go in spring. You know what we did in the winter? You seen this shaft from the threshing? There's always little kernels of wheats in it. I remember it was March, April, nothing to eat. I went out in the field, walking, 5-6 miles, maybe more or less.
Dan, go ahead. Oh yeah, go ahead.
And when it was windy, just keep it up and let the wind blow through, and then you find a little kernel down there. By the day I was through, I might have a bowl of a little slime.
So what did you do with it?
Come home and right into my grandma's, not my mother. We were in that house at the same time. Our women were together, surviving, and we cooked the soup. Just cooked that in water and divided the little bit soup as far as that. And then it went on every day like this. And then it comes at end of April, the field the snow was melting. And you go out in the field, and it's just like we drove yesterday.
Yeah.
You see, and there's still frost and there's still snow, but the covers were running around, right?
Yeah.
So where a little spot was a little hill and the snow was melted, the gophers running around. So I went out there and catch gophers. So, on a warmer day when the little down off the little hill, the water started standing around there from snow. I find that when the gopher went in his hole, I just had my pail of water and dumped it in, and he comes up and I grabbed him by the neck, and I had a stick and I hit him over the head and into the pail. Night I had it, and one day I catch 40 of them. I come home, my mother was out 50 kilometers walking with a bunch of gophers, what was done before. I was all alone in the house. And I made some fire, straw. Straw was the heating. And they had such a pot you put in by the fire, heat the water. I heat the water, scald the gophers, and clean them up, and salt them and put them in a barrel. And some of it I took in front of the fire and fried them up and brought them to my grandma at after 11 o'clock. So everybody sleeps and I go to her bed from the window and I tip, Grandma. She comes to, what? I got you something. I didn't want to feed the whole world something.
You just wanted to feed Grandma?
Huh?
You just wanted to feed Grandma?
Grandma, and we had an old deaf grandpa, Kieberlien's sister. She was 3 years old and she became deaf. She couldn't speak and she couldn't hear. Oh, she talked with her fingers. And since she couldn't go anywhere, I said to my grandma, you and her share, but don't give anybody else. So, you seen Comet here? And that aunt was here last fall here? Well, those two escaped together somehow. After me and Grandma escaped. So we've been through, it's a pretty hard story to understand.
The bits and pieces help when you...
Just, yeah, that's about all.
Hold on, I'll get a picture of Grandma Kieberlien.
Picture of Grandma Kieberlien?
Yeah.
We'll just go right in there. There it is. And that was your mother's mother?
Mother, yep. That is, she was only the one when she looked after me the most of the time since I was 6 years old. When I catch this gopher, I had to go to her window and have ready gophers for her to eat. And
yeah?
that's Grandma I'm talking about, so you've seen it on...
So you were pretty close to her.
Yeah. Oh, when I hear she died, and she starved to death, sit on the chair and dead. Nothing to eat, absolutely nothing. And I thought I should be there and keep her surviving, but I survived my mother instead of her. When I heard she was dead, I didn't want to live anymore. I want to die. And I was about 12 years old when I heard she was dead. Oh, I wasn't there. Her and her youngest daughter, 2 years older than me, name was Mary, Mrs. Comage's sister. She died. She laid beside the well, and Grandma sits on a chair and died in the house. Both dead. Nothing to eat.
And where was this, in what place in Russia?
That was back where I was born in
Fifer?
Fifer.
So what did you do then? Where did you go from there?
From Fifer?
Yeah, when, like, after Grandma's dead? And
We
you-
never returned since, never. Never. When we left there, we never had a chance to return to that place. Or what we hear from people that they're dead.
Oh, well, where were you when you heard it?
Wandering around out there, begging food and stealing food.
What area of Russia?
Middle Russia, kind of. And then you run in and some people came from, left there, or you always meet those people. I don't know why. They were always hanging, because when one was there and the other says, you know where they are? So they're streaming right one after another, like
And who was traveling with you?
me and Grandma
Bon,
Spunk, my
your
mother.
mother.
My mother. We were traveling. And then Grandpa Spawn escaped from jail and looked us up. Message was left there that what direction we are.
And then he just followed.
Then he came out and looking for us, and he found us.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had again more responsibility, more been pressure that I have to go out and find food. No matter where I get it, I steal it, or I bake for it, or I work for it. Didn't matter. But I have to go out and get it. And he sits there and bosses.
He didn't like you very much, did he?
Well, he didn't like me to talk.
What was it that made him dislike you so much?
I think it was his mother. She didn't want him to accept me. The marriage was okay, but not me. And my real father, his mother, didn't want to tell that this marriage will happen. And that's what I left to suffer. Who is responsible for human that I have to go through life like this?
Who's
Is it the
responsible
old
for-
mothers always interrupting in the kids' life and think my kid is better than the other?
And where does the child go?
Well, that's
So
exactly.
you got rejected from your real your real father's mother, so he couldn't marry your mother, so she married another one, and his mother rejected you too.
Yeah.
So what's she supposed to do?
My mother had a
She has
rough
to
life
throw
with
her
that.
child away.
Now we say Grandma Spawn is no good. Well, in those days, it didn't matter anymore. There was no choice. You marry a man and he can beat you to death, and there's no question how he treats you and how you die.
That may
That
be
was-
why Elizabeth Stephen stayed with John Stephen, John Henry Stephen.
Probably.
Could that have been in their blood then? You marry, you live with who you are.
Yeah. There was no such a thing. There was no way out of that, out of a marriage in those days, unless you die.
Oh,
That,
sad.
that was a sad. And it's like this woman has been through, my grandpa Kieberlien.
Uh-huh.
He was drinking, he was running around, and he was the big boss, he was rich, and he had sons, and he was demanding.
He didn't want you either? Well, your grandma did.
Yeah, but no, he didn't want me. So something happened there. My one aunt got married in, my uncle's wife. She was ruling me, and this grandma said to Grandpa, why does she come in and have that rule that I have to dig in and all day I've been hidden and been brought food to survive? Then he took over. He says, from this day on, she's going to stay here. So no matter what. But he beat this woman up. 10 kids, she lays in the sick bed and got beat up from him.
Oh,
That
sad. She
grew.
looks so tough, you know, with the thick bones and the raw face.
And yet she was so laughing.
The meek nature.
I don't have to let here now, so we can see it through. Oops. Now here we are, and here we got the picture of what that woman has been through started it. That's why I said we got it good. And why do we fight?
I don't know. We don't know any better. Selfishness.
But for me, I said we got it good, and we got it good, and we got it good. And I think we got it too good. If we had a little bit more to struggle for food of our own to go out like farmers do, I don't know, farmers have it good too today. Everything is by machine.
Yeah.
Everything is electricity. It's good too.
So we get selfish and we want our own way and we expect everybody else to meet our conditions and expectations.
We don't appreciate too much the goodness we have. And what do you think the Lord is going to do with us? Everything is here we don't appreciate.
Yeah.
Well, you take
like
these,
when you spoil a child, isn't it?
You take these old lady. She didn't know what one day good was. Not one day. And had to start 10 kids. And had to start. It was not one kid.
What was
could
her
save
name?
it. Margaret.
Margaret? And your mom was Margaret too? But she was Kieberlien.
Yeah, she was Kieberlien.
So Grandma was a Kieberlien before she was
she got, yeah.
So where did you go? Where did you travel to after Grandpa joined you?
Since he got out, escaped from jail, that was the whole reason. He couldn't get a job.
Uh-huh.
Because he had no papers. You have to have papers when you want a job.
Uh-huh.
So we hiding and hiding. We were in, Russia has like from here, like Saskatchewan and Alberta, British Columbia. In Russia they had called, like Saskatchewan is Tambovsky they call it. And then we were there and we traveled by foot to another province. By the time we know where we were in Stalingrad province. And then but that was May, like middle of May in the heat time. So I was in and asking for food. We walked all day and stopped with that little wagon we had. And for the night to saddle, I ran in through that was just like a mill, like one row houses in that little town where we, out of town we slept. But I ran in through the road there and asked for food. One young man says, aren't you able to work? And I was healthy looking. And healthy and stable, strong looking, yeah. By that time. Before that one, there was 3 years before that, I was like a skinny, that bones sticking out, things like this. Well, you know, so I got this I said, yes, by that time I could speak Russian pretty good. When I came from that Volga, from Saratov, in months to the Russian, I couldn't speak Russian. I only spoke German, but I learned fast. So anyway, I said, work. I said, yep, there's more out there. And he says, I can use 100 workers. I said, but there's some people don't have papers, and they're German. He says, we make papers up our own, just come and work. So I went back, and it was just before the sun went down.
How old were you then?
I think I was 13 by then. Yeah, I was 13. Years went by, and here and there. And then my father, I think he was about 3-4 years in that jail by the time he escaped. The rest started it, but I don't know, he was one of the survivors. My grandpa Kieberlien died, my uncle George Kieberlien died, and Joseph didn't even make it there. By the time they got him there, my one uncle escaped through the shed house when they had him out there. That was right by the fence so they could load from the outside. 11 o'clock was the last time to get out to the washroom, and he let himself down to the shed and growled back out and ran. And everybody had to suffer. They were searching and searching. So Grandpa Spawn stayed a year or two later.
And worked for this guy?
In jail. He tried to be trustful and loyalty to the jail management there. So they trust him and let him go out in the field. And one day they trust him too much, he wandered off.
Yeah, and he ran from you guys. So how long did you work for this guy? What kind of work did you do?
Yeah, then we, back to this here, okay? And he says, we make the papers up, I run back, and he says, tomorrow morning, you go, what's sundown? They didn't say east or the west, either it was midday by the sun, or it was sundown. So he says, you go to the sundown, 3 kilometers, and breakfast will be ready. And there was 15 people of us there.
Who were the 15 people?
It was Grandpa Spawn's mother and his sister. And me and my mother, and there was another family with about 7, 8. An old lady with a girl named Anna, was as old as me. And she had 5, 6 kids. I'm not too sure anymore. But the smaller one was about 10, and the rest was all already working people. So I came back and I was telling, I come running like you wouldn't believe in the glorious divine, because it was just before sunset. And I brought some news like out of this world. I got back, I got a licking. I got beat up and beat because I was, Grandpa Spawn says, she's betraying me. See, she's betraying me. She had no business to tell that there's no paper. I said, I didn't even mention. She's lying. She wants to get out of this. And there is no such a thing. But the old lady, the other lady, her name was Anna, and she was as old. She says, well, would it help if Anna goes and proves it and that? So me and Anna went there, come back, it was okay. I couldn't be believed, no trust, no nothing but beating.
So you went to sundown and you ate? And
no, the next morning, towards where the sun goes down, we went. And then he says about, we can see it from the road. Right beside the road is a campsite. And food will be there. And by the days through, they will have us shelter. So they found a great, big, huge house like you've seen in the movies here. They put us all in there. Wooden floor. You cook outside, or I don't remember, there was a stove in there.
yeah?
I remember we cooked outside. And sleep on the floor, the wooden raw floor. We had a shelter, so each person finds from there, and we had to look after ourselves. By the summer was through. All summer we worked. Grandpa Spawn and Grandma Spawn and me, we stayed there. We didn't go anywhere. They rented themselves a little shack Grandpa bought a cow. He got a job for the winter feeding the horses. And I was feeding the cows in the winter. At the time, I think I was 14, become 15, something in between like that. So we stuck around there. And then I left from that place, I left to White Russia.
By yourself?
By myself. And then my mother came a year and a half later.
Wait, what kind of work did you do?
I was feeding in the winter I feed the cows and clean. In spring and summer I was in the field working.
And how long were you there again?
I think we were there. I was there about 2 summers, I think, 2 years in a line like that, because when I left there I was about 16, 17 years old. So maybe 3 years.
Yeah. Then you went to White Russia by yourself.
Yeah.
You just had enough?
I heard about, got an address from my uncle Kieberlien, Alexander Kieberlien. And I took, you see, I couldn't write. There was no phone. So I went to a lady. I said, teach me. So she says, if you wash the walls, whitewash, and keep washing the floor and milking my cow, I teach you. So every night I went to her house and did her work. And she taught me the alphabets. I was a fast pickup. And then she says, now, you got all the alphabets. I remember them just like that. 70 miles, go by foot.
And it was winter, so you couldn't leave in the winter. You had to.
So I couldn't leave in the winter, so I wait for spring. And then I walked with my gunny sack and my little loaf of bread and a bit of butter. And $80, 80 rubles I had. And then I walked about 10 kilometers and then trucks going by, so I sit on the road. So this one truck picked me up. And he wants $5 to get me there. I said, good. So he says, hop in the front. I sit in the back. When we got there and I saw the railroad in that big, big city.
What city was that?
I forgot the name of the city. So I jumped off the truck with my gunny sack and followed the railroad to the station. So I didn't pay him the $5. I had not much money. I didn't know what my train fare would cost.
On your way to Moscow?
On my way to White Russia.
Oh, White Russia, right. Right.
So I came, I was 3 or 4 days on the train. Had to transfer a few nights to wait. Came to White Russia to Borisov, the city called Borisov. My uncle worked in a macaroni factory. That's all I had on my address that I know.
George Kieberlien.
Alexander Kieberlien.
Oh, Alexander.
So I kept asking people where I could find the macaroni factory, and it was around 4 o'clock, a little after 4. And I asked the guy on the front there, they were guarded in the gate there, in and out. So I asked if there is a Alexander Kieberlien. And he says, where do you come from? I said, I'm coming from Stalingrad. Well, he said he just went to work and I can't let you talk to him. And I begged him, I said, please, I come from Stalingrad. And I came so far. Now, if I could just see him. And then he says, well, then wait. He telephoned into the factory and paged Alexander Kieberlien. Alexander Kieberlien came and he says, who are you? I said, I'm Adolfine. He says, where are you coming from? I said, Stalingrad. I don't know you. He said.
Oh, no.
What's your mother's name? I said, Margaret. And your father? I said, John. Last name? I said, Spawn. He shook his head and he said, can't ask you too much, but we know that you were dead. But a guy came out of the factory and walked by his about 2 miles down the road out of the city there. He said, take her to my home. He couldn't leave his work. So when I came to their house, my aunt was sitting on the roof and building a chimney. And the guy says, I brought you company. Yeah, she goes. Yeah, he says, she wants to, Alexander says, I should bring her here. She says, I got no time for company. I'm busy. And I stood there and...
Is that the same uncle, excuse me, Mom, that wrote you a letter? The letter you received? Remember you received a letter, you said?
I received a letter from my Uncle John, but it was all explained that they are be there.
Oh, I see, okay. That letter didn't come from them then?
No,
okay.
So that's why they didn't know nothing.
Okay, go ahead. Then she said she didn't want company and...
No. And she said, where are you coming from? I said, I'm coming from Stalingrad. But what brings you around here in this area? And I said, I'm looking for my uncle, Alexander Kieberlien. Yeah, she says. I said, he's my uncle. And she says, yeah? What's your name? But at that time, my name was Nina. I said, I'm Nina. I didn't know my... If you want to know the truth, I didn't know my first name.
Your birthright name?
I didn't know my first name. Because I never was called by my first name.
Adolfina?
No, I was called the little one.
The little one?
The clone.
Yeah.
And then I says, I'm the clone. Nah, she went. Those people are all dead. Who are you? And then she says, what's your mother's name? Same what Uncle asked. I said, Margaret. And your father? I said, Johannes. Or John, whatever. She says, what's the last name again? I told her, and she was in shock. And then she jumped down from the roof and come and grabbed me and looked me all over. I was little when they left. And she says, growing up and twirling, but old raggy clothes and a gunny sack on my back. And then she grabbed me and hugged me. And she says, I don't believe it. I just don't believe this here. And then come in the house. And she made me some hot water, wash up, and she says, we're going to go for clothes. She says, are you hungry? Well, she looked and she said, what do you got here? I said, the bread and butter. Butter, it was hot, it started melting, and gunny sack was all full of butter.
Oh.
My bread was dried out.
There was food.
Yeah, that was food for me. I didn't get that when I was baking food.
Yeah.
I get the crust or something like. So anyway, and that's where I started staying with them. And she went and bought me clothes, got me dressed like a young lady, got my hair fixed up. I had long, long, long hair. She cut them off and fixed me up, and then me and her went and took a picture, and I don't know where that picture is now. But anyway, my train fare, I had $80. I had $4.20, and my train fare was 40. I hang on the other 40 like my dear life. I don't know where I'm gonna end it up. if I get them, they're not there. Then I'm my last case in desert again. So anyway, they got me a job at the paper factory. No, the first one was where they make these chairs and furniture.
Mm-hmm.
But they only made,
Upholstery.
no, they only called it the Mabel factory. Mabel, that was only chairs.
Uh-huh.
So they hired me, and it was $3 a day you get, not by the hours, by the day. And I became really good on that job. I worked for 3 months, shifts, afternoon, nights, in the morning. And by the 3 months went by, I didn't need any shifts anymore. I had the machine figured out that I built the other chairs up, and I put all my legs there, so I can reach here. I don't have to go down.
Uh-huh.
I reached from here. The machine, I built my chair up, so I didn't have to go down and get that arm there and pull. Not like this and like this.
So you could work twice as fast?
Yeah, I put my foot on the table, and I put here, and I'm sitting here and just going. And one more thing in that machine was the knife, when they call it a knife. So you have to, and it gets dull after maybe a couple of hundred.
Yeah.
Or 1,000, and it didn't cut anymore. It's that shaving, you know, when you cut something and you shave, not a clean cut. So each time you see a little shave, you have to undo the knife and go and get sharpen it and come back and set it and screw it on. By screwing on that knife, you have, when I was working for the 3 months, they shipped them out, and they were all too thin, too thick. And the boss comes and says, a whole shipment was ruined, a whole. And then I got so good that the inspection came. I got so good with that knife that I just had that exact in my, here, exact. In, the first one was right, all the way through. I go back, change it, come back, the first one was right. And it got so interesting that I had nothing to do. The girls were serving me. They brought the legs, they hauled them away. And my shiny shoes just sitting there.
So how old were you about then at that time?
I think I would have become 17 years old by that. And then the inspection came. It was in the paper. All these big shots standing around, taking the knife out, and asked me to put it in. I took it out and I put it in, cut, and there was another round steel where it really fits in the way it's supposed to, not thin or thick. So the inspector or the big shot there, they come, the foreman comes, and they put it in too small. They remove it, too thick, too thin. They hand it over to me, I put it in. It was in the paper. It was in Poland. Your dad read it in the paper, in Poland. That's how far my project went.
Yeah, your skill.
My skill, yep.
So how long you were there at that job?
I was at the job, so, probably about a year since I got married.
How did you meet Dad?
That is another story here, like,
Was that so you were around 17 when you met Dad?
yeah.
And where did you meet him?
Huh?
You're working in this factory, and how did you come to...
Your dad was in the hospital in that big city. He had the diarrhea as a soldier, so there was only one hospital in that. And my aunt Comich had the diarrhea, had to go the same. And as those two met, and she says, I got a niece. You gotta meet her. You gotta meet her.
Wait a minute. Let's back up here. You went to your aunt and uncle, and you started in this factory. And then, how did you come by Komich? Where did she come in there? The grandma's sister?
Komich was there about 3 miles from that city. I didn't know when I got there she was there, but she was there.
And how did
she
you come
looked
to
them
know?
up before I did.
And how did you come to know she was there?
When I got there.
And then you started communicating with her.
Right.
And was Grandma and Grandpa come then at this
No,
time?
they stayed back in Stalingrad. And as I was there, and I wrote them how good it is there compared to there, and then the picture was sent to my mother in Stalingrad. So my mother said to my father, I'm going to take a trip. So she took a trip, and Mary was about 2 years, 2.5, 3 in between like that. She took Mary with her, and Grandma took the wrong address. She went to way down to the Ukrainian, because she couldn't speak as Russian like I did. I made sure I get the right address. I couldn't afford it any other way.
No.
Well, anyway, so that's got married there. My grandma came, and I was just married about a month ago, and she came there, and she never got back to her grandpa. She wrote him a letter, sell everything. They had a cow and a little whatever they had, and he sold, and he came there, and he found a job there, and in the bush somehow and they found their own place, and that's how we carried on.
And this was in, what was that place called again?
Borisov.
Borisov. So, okay, then how did you meet Dad? Like, how did...
Like I said, Mrs. Komich had the shits, and your dad had the shits.
And they were both in this hospital?
And they're both in this hospital, and she wrote me a letter, come and see me, I'm in the hospital. I come there, she had John introduced to me. And in those hospitals, there were outside a little benches and trees and grass, like a little park. So she says, let's go in the park. So she made sure your dad came to the park. And she introduced it to me. And then he came and visited us. When Komich got out, and they came and visited us. And I sure didn't want your dad.
Where were you staying when he came to visit you?
I was staying with my uncle.
You were still with your uncle and aunt?
Kieberlien, yeah, with a family of 6 kids.
So was he, did he persist in seeing you?
Yeah, he came visited, and then again he was about 5 miles out of town in army camp. They were.
He was a Russian soldier.
He was a soldier. And my uncle liked him, and so your dad brought a bottle of vodka or whiskey, whatever, and those two sitting there and drinking. My uncle liked drinking. He would sell me for a bottle of whiskey anytime. So I went and hid under the bed. Your dad was a nice-looking man. So he came, and I saw him, and I went and ran in the bedrooms and under the bed. And they're looking for me, and looking. My aunt comes and looks underneath. No. You get out of there. No. Took my arm and out to the kitchen again.
So how long was it before you got married to Dad?
Oh, that went through the summer, and in fall he come to the factory where I was working. And called me out. And those days for soldier, everybody had to stay. Today I couldn't care less. As we live, we learn, and things are changing. So in a way, he says, I'm going to take you to the show. I said, I got to work. Now he says, you just ask if shouldn't get off earlier. So we get out, instead of in the show, he led me to the marriage license place.
Oh my, that's really,
Really tricky.
yeah, he wasn't fooling around.
Yeah, so we walked the main street downtown, and he knew already what those marriage deals is. I didn't know. I wasn't bothering with.
And that was in Barassa?
In Barissa.
Yeah.
And then going in there, and he says, "Can we get married here?" Well, why not?
And what did you say?
I said, "No, I'm not going to get married." He insists, "I promise you, you will never regret. I'm going to be good to you. I'm going to carry you around." That's how that fantasy carried me. I was thinking. Oh boy, what a carry. I fall for it because I'm looking for security. All the life I've been through. And so he buys a bottle of whiskey back to the house, to my uncle, and says, "We just got married." "Oh, they're gonna go, well, here comes the sausage and the bread and the goodies, whatever." That was the style of those.
What a happy day, eh?
Happy night, and a sour life ending. And from that on, I got pregnant, and...
Well, when did you meet his parents?
I was just getting there.
Oh.
And then I got pregnant, and had
Well, how long did this take before you got pregnant? Like you got married that day, was it 6 months?
No, he came every through the week 3-4 times. Each time he could get away, he was there.
Well, didn't you go get a place of your own as soon as you were married?
Well, if you let me finish it, I probably come to a little point to that.
Okay.
So I got pregnant there over the summer, late in fall then or whatever. And then he says, "I got a place. I got a place." And I got fall and cold. What's to the winter there? He had a room, and other soldiers had 2 girls. And they put us in that room. And then we could go work there. But there was no cooking facility, no...
were you still working at the same...
Oh, no, I quit that then.
Oh, you quit that, okay.
Yeah. When he said he had something else there, I went for. And then I worked in first I worked in a big office to the trust as a secret. I was doing some transporting paper through the night. And then they found out I was German, I got laid off. Good thing they didn't shoot me at that time. I'm still here. My name was Nina Alexandrovna Spawn, and not Adolfine. So they didn't know I never used my name in Russia. I was Nina. So since they couldn't prove really, but they knew I was German, so off I go. Then I ended up in the kitchen peeling potatoes.
And so, Dad, you were living in this
little
place with these other girls.
And when I was pregnant, I got kidney problem or bladder infection. I don't know what I had. And it was cold, no heating, and no blankets really, just the little clothes. So I went back to my aunt and I said, "I'm sick." And she said, "How about your job?" I said, "Well, I have to quit." "Did you ever work?" I said, "Yeah." And there was a little time I didn't. When I got sicker and sicker, and I had no more choice to go back to my, Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you were in that kitchen there and you're peeling potatoes?
Yeah, and it was cold in there. Ice cold. The door was open, winter there, and I got sick and went back to my aunt.
How did Dad feel about that?
No, that's what he said, go, because he couldn't do anything for me. He was giving me that little bit of money he got. And that's all he could give me. And I went back and stayed at my aunt's place. And in the meantime, Grandma came up, and they lived in a little
Had
town
Grandpa
where
joined her?
Huh?
Had Grandpa joined her?
Yeah, he came back and joined her. That went fast those days. And he got a job in a little town about 40 kilometers, maybe about half an hour with the train going forth and back.
What town was that?
That town called Krupka.
Ruska.
And I stayed with them for about 2 months.
Grandma and Grandpa spawn?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Because there were some blueberries out there. And I went out every morning and picked blueberry on my last base there. And then I went back to get my baby in Borisa by my aunt again.
That was Emma?
No, that was Kieberlien.
No, Dolly, I mean.
Yeah. No, that was Felix.
Felix, okay.
Pregnant with him. I got my baby, and then there was no room, so back out to Grandpa's Pond and Grandma in that little town again. And the baby starts screaming, and Grandpa says, she has to be out by tomorrow night when I get home from work. I don't want to hear another scream here. So I went back to my aunt, and my aunt says, you can't stay here.
She had a baby.
Yeah, there's no room with my baby anywhere. And the war started in 1939 with Poland. So I couldn't get a hold of your dad. He was nowhere out there in Poland, different country. And then
Felix was born already?
Yep. And then I went across the street from my aunt, and the lady had, she had 5 kids. And they slept all on the floor. There was only a small room. And in Russia they have those oven where you sleep on it. They cook in there. The fire goes in there. They call them pechki. And they had their bed just in a front of the beside the pechki. You just have to pass that bed and up to that thing. And it was so hot that the brick was up there. So it's the only offer she could give me. All night I just took all the clothes I had and just checking my baby how hot it is. I ran on one side, I lay on the other. I could feel it, but my baby couldn't. So I just keep my baby off the heat.
Feel it?
Comes 4 o'clock, I go down and the brick cooled up, and the baby sleeping. I went under their bed that I could sleep a little bit. That's how bad it was. And but they kept me for a couple of weeks until I could find something. When I found something that was a big deal, from a hot house there, I got laid under the kitchen window where the ice was about a foot thick, and there were my bed. And I took my Felix to check up, and on the way home, he got crying and crying from the doctor, and I laid him there, but I didn't lay him by the window. I laid by the ice, and I pushed him off the ice, front on me. And it got dark, and he cries around after midnight. There was no lamp. She had a big other side of a huge place where she slept and her baby. And her husband was in the army too. So first I went in, I said, I need that lamp. And she says, you can't have it. So just get out of here. And I go out and that baby's, I hear them, didn't take any rest. I said, that was around 4 o'clock. I said, my baby is really sick. I couldn't see him even. I went in, I said, I want the lamp. And she says, Nan, if I don't give it to you, what are you going to do? I said, if my baby dies, so will you. If I don't see him dying tonight, and I can't even look at him, and you keep the lamp here, you'll be dead in the morning too. So she runs out and looked at him. You run for the doctor. And she really seen what happened there. So I ran 2 kilometers to the doctor, and I phoned the doctor. Those days they didn't come. I phoned, they said they'd be there. Came at 9 o'clock, the baby died at 6 o'clock in the morning. On my way back, I stopped into my aunt and uncle there, and I said to my aunt, I said, would you come over? I said, my baby's dying. Nah, you go home. Baby's not dying. You make an issue out of it. My uncle says, maybe I go. I said, Uncle, I need you. Just baptize him. And then she came running. They both came. And she ran home and got a candle. And he is dying. And then my aunt told him. My uncle took the water like a priest and said, I baptize you in the name of I baptize you, Felix, in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost. So he's baptized in that way.
And what did you do?
And then he died, and where I was working in the factory, by that time I was back to work again, and the factory gave me a box, and they went out and picked a hole by a little bit of bush side there.
That's where he was buried.
That's where he's dead. And I went and took the axe and made a cross and to mark that tree.
How old was he?
7 months. And so was Leo, died at 7 months.
So was Leo next?
No, Leo was already at that time we were in Germany already.
Yeah, okay, well, Felix died, then what did you do? Where did you go? Did you stay there, or?
I stayed there and worked at the same place. And then I got sick, and they had a rule, if you're too late to work, then you get sued and prosecuted. So when I had my monthly deal, I usually got so sick. I went to the doctor and she didn't give me a notice, and I came in, and that's where I had to face the judge, and I got 6 months probation, work for nothing. And in the meantime, your dad came, we took off through the night to Nizhny Novgorod to his parents. And they looked all over for me, because I was a criminal, because I was late for work and was judged.
And you didn't have any kids then?
No.
Because Felix had died?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we came there and we stayed 6 months at their place in the winter.
Nizhny Novgorod?
Nizhny Novgorod. And then I got pregnant with Dolly.
Well,
And
where was Leo? Oh, Leo came after Dolly?
Leo came in Germany. Leo came after Lena.
Oh, really?
See, Annie's born in Poland.
Okay, well, anyway, then you got pregnant with Dolly.
And then that was in May we took off from there.
Was that
Back-
the first time you met Grandma and Grandpa Miller?
Yeah.
And your baby had died already and everything?
Yeah.
And how did they receive you? What were they like?
That thing I cannot tell you.
Hi. Well, tell us what Grandma and Grandpa Miller were like. Was he glad to see you?
He said to you, Dad, couldn't you pick a taller woman than this here? Oh, yeah. So we lived there, and
Tell me a bit about great grandpa. Like you told me about your grandpa.
That grandpa was ugly too. That's your grandpa, Miller. Cruel.
Yeah.
Really cruel old people, you know. Really. I was working there in a place I get up at a restaurant, a little one, just for the railroad man. They were trying to build a new railroad. So they had a little shack there. I go there at 7 o'clock in the morning and just made coffee. That's all I had to do. Coffee serving. And then I got paid for it. And I went and bought myself one of those, they call them Primus. You can cook on top, they have it here.
Camping stove.
Yeah, but it was only one round runner. But you could cook one pot in there. So I cooked a good soup and he got sick and smelled that soup. He asked your grandma, you go ask if I can have a bowl of soup. But he was bitching that I spent my money. I want to live high class.
She bought a burner.
Yeah, that burner. I could cook just like the rest of it. I said, I need a good soup. And then after that, somehow we got away from there.
Tell me what Grandma Petronino was like.
Oh, she was nice. She was a really nice person. She had 7 kids. And your dad was the oldest one. Next was the Magdalena. And then was Rudolph. And then was Marcus. And then was Larius. And then the other 2 girls.
And did she defend you against?
Oh, always. See, we want to go to the show one night. We didn't have the 3 rubles. And Magdalena went and says, can you give us the 3 rubles? No, I can't. But finally, Magdalena says to me, you go and ask her. She won't deny it to you. I went and said, can you lend us the 3 rubles? Oh, yeah. She went and got the 3 rubles.
Did she get along good with Grandpa Miller?
Hmm?
Did she get along good with Grandpa Miller?
Her son?
No, Grandpa Miller, like did Grandpa Petronino
Oh yeah,
get along?
those days the ladies were just like Dolly. She never argued, oh no, she hospitality him, fed him, washed the clothes, and there was no arguments. No, there was no, you never seen them love because there was all that one room and they were all sleeping in there.
How was his brothers and sisters to you? Were they good?
Oh, they were good. His sister special. More and good. More and good.
Why did you leave there?
I didn't like it there. There was no room. You see, when your dad had that hole filled out with people, we moved in that hole. And I was so happy that we were alone now. And we got booted out from the government and back in, and they said the law, we broke the law. And in the law, those days I was working with the law. Before I got there, when I was learning my first alphabet, I got in that little town. Like I said, there was a club there. And we'd go there and teaching music and singing and things like that. So I was discovered as a talented person. And when there was a small court, I was the lawyer. Question people and write it down. I could already enough writing do it. In those days, they didn't ask you for education. You can read or you can write, and that's it. So anyway, as I worked in there, I learned a little bit. I read the law books, and when we got there and had that problem, and in the law says 3 square foot or 3 square meters or whatever it was, I don't know anymore, for a person to live in the house. That's how much you have to have room. And there was no room. And they said, now you're going to court over that law breaking. I said, okay, then I take you to the court. John was in the army. I said, a person comes back from the army, is not deserving this hole, and is not enough room to live, but you don't care. You're using us for working here, and you don't care how we live in this packaging here, with no security, just food, feed to the law. And then they said, when do you want to leave? I said, as soon as you release the papers, that we can go from there. And that was in 41. So they let us go. And then his sister, don't go, don't go, don't go. And then his dad says, why are you going there? He sits there, couldn't talk nice, but just in a root. What is there out there? I said, I was there. I don't have to live here. So he says, you think you're always smart and knocks me down, always down, down. Nothing should be, what John brings in there shouldn't be valued. That's how he felt. And yet I know I get a baby, where would I live out there?
Oh, you were pregnant with Dolly, yeah?
And then, as we came to White Russian again, back from Nizhny Novgorod, again we stayed with one of my Kieberlien's uncles. Just as we found our place, we never found a place. We were there about 8 days. My dad had already a job, but the war came.
And this was in
May 41. And the war came. After the war was, there was room everywhere.
Or did Dad have to go fight then?
No, he was out of the army, and if we stayed there, they probably would call him. But as in the meantime, we left it, there was no forward address left behind.
Oh, I see.
So we just went and they couldn't, otherwise they probably would haul him right back into the army. So I don't know what's good, but that's all a story behind, you know.
So, the war broke out, and what did you and Dad do?
The German came. It was 6 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning, and there were the Germans coming, rushing in, and the bombs and things. So there were more families in, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 families were living in a building like an apartment here, but not high, just in the hall, and you go into your rooms. And there were some, one was an office, and one was, again, a music room. When the German came, nobody owed that anymore, no music room. So me and your dad took the office room, my other uncle took the music room. And then we just have to looking for food. And after that went by, we got ourselves into town. We were a little bit on the edge of the town at that time. Into town, and had ourselves, got ourselves a nice house. And I was looking for...
Was Dad working?
No, I don't think he worked at that time. Because the war came, there was no more work. Somehow we lived off what we... to live more out of the stores, we secured ourselves. And then he went and worked with as a translator for the soldiers.
How long was the war last?
4 years.
So this was all in this 4-year period then?
Now this was the beginning.
The beginning? Oh,
Of 1941.
Oh, I see.
We got ourselves a house, and Dolly got born in the house there, and then they started taking off again. We had to move out of that house and move across the street because this was all taken for the Jews. So when they covered all the Jews in one, they made a big fence and put them all in there to shoot.
And you lived across the street?
Across the street in a Jew's house. They got the other people's houses, and whoever had to leave out of their houses had to go in the Jews section, where they were living before. So,
and then, did they shoot the Jews there?
Oh yeah, it was 4 o'clock in the morning. October the 22nd when Dolly was born. No, that October the 21st. The 21st Dolly is born after midnight on the 21st. So that they hauled them in, and I got pains, and I was about 8 hours or more in labor.
And in the same time they're shooting the Jews across the street?
Yeah, they were.
You could hear the gunfire?
Oh, yes, there's people screaming. They screamed, and the soldiers just yanked them into the truck, and like you've seen in the movies, like you've seen on TV, they hit them over the head with the gun and into the truck, and when they got them there, at the end of the town where they had the big ditch, the Jews ditched their own ditch. The Germans took them out every morning. They dig and dig and dig and dig. When they had enough
and what
digging.
town was that again?
Borisa. So anyway, when they had them all shut in, and then they bulldozed them, and the blood was bubbling out on top of the ground.
And having a new baby, how did you take this?
8,000 Jews.
Now, what did you and Dad do? Like, were you crying or were you upset?
We were all shaky. Very
shocked?
shaky. Shocked and shaky.
So then what did you guys do?
And then we lived with Grandma and Grandpa Spawn in one house. Was given.
They were there too in Barata?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Across the street.
Yeah?
And it was given.
Grandma and Grandpa Spawn, right?
Grandma and Grandpa Spawn and Mary.
Yeah?
And we were living, but the house was kind of the kitchen. You come into the front door and there is a hall, and you walk back to the kitchen. And in the meantime, there were in the hall, to the left side there was 2 rooms, and to the other side, so what equal rooms. And from there on, I tell you what happened is that that the German decided we lived through the winter and in spring, fall, spring, in 42, they took us out of the German language, and like Hitler says, the German blood he was collecting goes back to German.
So you had all shipped back?
So we stayed 14 months in Poland in a campsite. That's where Anne was born. And then in that time I was pregnant with Lena. And the war comes to an end. The German had to step back.
So in the meantime, Anne was born, and then when you got this concentration camp, you were pregnant with Lena.
Yes. And then goes back to Germany from Poland into this you know what they used to haul the cattle in this how do you call this wagon train boxcar. So in there and got out from Poland to the Russian were coming the Germans stopped backing up and backing up, so they took the people and hurried to Germany. And when we got to Germany, they called us, oh, there's Russian pigs in there. They called us pigs.
And what town? Do you know what town it was or place?
Oh, we were about 3 weeks in this wagon, forth and back. We came to Bremen. We went through Berlin and with Bremen through Hamburg and forth and back. And nobody will unload us. We weren't recognized. We wouldn't exist if the Russian.
And Grandma and Grandpa Spawn were with you?
They were in the other Kieberlien and other families, and we were all sitting in there for 3 weeks. And one, his dad had that authority. He didn't do anything at least. He wanted to please the authority.
Uh-huh.
And my uncle, he was strong, Alex. He went out once it was around supper time, and they stopped there. He went in the front and they said, how long are you going to stay here? Oh, he says, about an hour, couple of hours. My uncle said, I have to go in the coffee shop. So he went in and he said, we want some food. We have kids, and we're starving in there. And one guy stood up and he says, what do you want? My uncle said, food, something to eat. Bring the people in to eat. And he was one of the SS. He says, you stay right here, I give you food. He went in and changed his clothes in his uniform. And then he come out and says, Fifer, what do you like? Food? And he had his gun. My uncle says, no, you do it. Just wait since I get back. He went in and grabbed the paper from your dad, grabbed the whole works, that we were secured by Hitler.
Uh-huh.
And he says, here, you shoot now. You answer to Hitler. There's more people out there. Either you shoot me and all of us, that you'd be a free man, or this here is what had happened.
Mm-hmm.
And from that moment on, we got food. He phoned around, got us a place. I think it was about 2 hours with the train. We came to Stade.
Uh-huh.
And when we came to Stade, they phoned the mayor, and they had us in a school place, big place, in there, and beds and bedding, food, shower. And from there on, they placed us wherever individual, each family was placed somewhere.
Where did all those other people go?
Which other?
The ones you left in the boxcar?
Everybody went together.
Oh.
Emma Lutz got, she was 3 miles from us. Grandpa Spawn and Grandma Spawn were in the city of Stade. Comich went to Buxtehude, which is 18 miles. We went about 8 miles to a place, and Mayor picked us up. When I was pregnant, I was hiding myself, and I was really ugly looking, like those days, I don't know, my skin got
Acne?
no, kind of a yellow spots here, yellow spots there, all in spots, yellow, ugly. And then he unloaded us there, and I don't know, it was about a month later, I got my baby there.
And that was which baby? Anne?
Lena.
Lena.
Lena, I got, see, when I was pregnant with Lena, where we put in a little 2 rooms and a little bit of a kitchen there. And the bombs coming down. And I went and opened that curtain and want to look out, and a bomb dropped, and I dropped right down. They had to pick me up and back, and I think that's when Lena has a little problem. Can't see it. And Dolly suffers on those sirens. Soon the sirens went. She comes and shakes, and I had to hold her. And wasn't too bad about that, Dolly. And then after, when I need the milk, I went to the mayor again, to the little town. And I said, I need some milk. So his daughter answered, and she says, Frau Miller is here. That means Mrs. Miller is here. And she has her baby and her kid. She needs some milk. I said, tell her to come in here. I come in his office there. And he said, how did you get here? I said, you picked us up. No, he says, I did not pick you up. I know what I pick up. And I said, I'm Mrs. Miller, and you picked us up. No, I did not pick you up. He says, I know what I picked up. And then his daughter came in. He says, we only got one family in this town at this type.
Was he lying?
No, he didn't recognize me.
Oh.
After I had the baby, the skin was like blood and milk mixed, honey and milk or whatever you call it. He couldn't figure that face. He says, I did not see that pretty face here.
Oh.
To his daughter. She says, Papa, these are the people. And he says, how can a person change his face like this? He says, the prettiest woman I ever seen.
Oh.
And the other one was so ugly as seen. I got my milk anyway. So it went on, and then the war ended.
And you never heard from Grandpa and Grandpa Miller at all in all this time?
Not in all this route we went through, no.
They had no idea what you're going through or where you ended up?
No, and we don't know if they stayed there or they could be got out of there, who knows. I wish I could just go out there and see. You see, I don't know, a person should, if I know the address really. Not all these years I didn't know the address, just in my head. Now there's odds I forget, and if you don't have direct the address and the direct words, you don't get nowhere.
Well, carry on from the war ended, and then what happened?
At that time we lived in, they gave us a little building that Kieberlien lived on one side and we lived on the other in Germany, but you weren't there. Well, Lena remembers a little bit. Anna and Dolly do a little more.
Yeah.
And then we built our own little house there. It was offered to us land. And then your dad, that was in 48, 49, something, the war ended in 45. So in the meantime, we built that little house and we went in there. And then your dad here, a bishop came to preaching in town after the war and all these that they want to bring peace. And your dad was asking him, he says, in Frankfurt or Stuttgart, I forgot, there is a place where you can go put your name in, and if you have any relatives, they will be contact through. So your dad and Grandpa Spahn went to Stuttgart, and they had a association, Catholic association here in Winnipeg. And from Stuttgart to Winnipeg, everything went forth and back from immigrants and searching relatives, and the Catholic Church were sponsoring immigrants from Germany to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So Stephen did not pay our money, only he gave us the place. The church
Who
the Catholic
founded in the church here?
Miss Barbara.
Barbara.
When she saw it in the church, and
So
then
it came from Winnipeg to
in
Madison?
all across Canada and churches.
Oh, I see. And she saw the name in the church.
She saw the Kieberlien Schamba. She said, "That's my sister." And then the other one, I think, Liz were already sick, but Barbara went to Liz, I don't know, in the hospital.
Elizabeth, yeah.
Elizabeth. And Elizabeth said to John, "You bring them here."
To her husband or to her son?
To her son.
Was he dead already?
Who?
Her husband, John?
Her husband, I don't know what his name was, and we're talking about John Sieben here.
John?
The one.
The old John Sieben or the John Sieben Jr.?
The junior John Sieben. He had to promise his mother, Elizabeth, that he will get us here. Get my sister's son here. And that's why he always had fulfilled my mother's wish. Otherwise he wouldn't be here.
Mom, if Barbara saw your name in the church, and she brought her sister's son here by telling Elizabeth, and John got you over by providing you a place, when you got out to John's there in Lacombe,
Yeah.
why didn't Barbara step in and take you away from there and take care of you and Dad till you got on your way like a mother?
You couldn't go to, near to that John Sieben and say, "I take care of it." He did what he had to do. He put us on a farm, and we were working at the farm. Your dad was working on the farm, about 3 miles from him. And he came to the farmer, and we didn't understand English. And then he came to me and he says, "You do exactly what I tell you, or that farmer's not going to keep him in the farm."
And of course, you still have the fear from Russia and
Oh,
that
gosh.
you might have to go back or something.
Fear here because no jobs, no nothing. And then we met this Coleman at the church. And they came and visited us, and we went to their place, walked. And then we went to Johnny's. Oberst. And I don't know how we got to George, but these Colemans, they went to George and to Johnny and were talking, so can't remember exactly. Then they hired us and we moved off the farm and in to...
How did John Sieben feel about that?
Oh, he didn't like it.
Why, didn't he argue with them or anything?
No. He didn't go against the Oberst because there was work.
Were you back to Russia now, or Germany, wherever it was, when Grandpa Spawn and Dad came back with the news that they put the name in the church? How did you feel?
We felt nothing.
How long was it before you got the news?
Oh, they put it in, I think, about a year or so, or whatever. It was, I remember, 1949. And then we got something in the 50s, and by 51 took another writing and Barbara here, Barbara, dear mother here last night, she wrote us letters. She sent us a package of clothing.
Also, and you got it, eh?
Oh yeah. She sent us coffee. We never got the coffee.
No.
And we got the second letter and said coffee, and I went to the post office and I said there was coffee sent here. And the post office says, no, there was no coffee. I said, the letter says coffee. Boy, what a commotion. And then it went to the mayor and it went farther on higher. And that mayor, which says I didn't know, he says, and Mrs. Miller said there was coffee, there was coffee.
Did you ever get your coffee?
No, but you couldn't get the coffee, but there was from there on was a strict rule set at the post office. What's coming in there, that there's no more stealing of such.
The night, or the week or month before you were getting ready to go on this boat, didn't Dad talk about his parents? To contact them or try to find them, or did he talk about them at all? No, but I mean just a feeling that...
Well, I tried to tell you.
Okay.
Your dad was in pain and in tears for his parents. But at that time, there was still Stalin. It wasn't like now. Stalin was the ruler yet. And a lot of people went back. Oh, Cummins was telling here at the table. His nephew was in the war in Germany and got back, and he's still in the prison camp. But if we went and got them people, those days we know the address and everything, if we mentioned them, they'd be punished.
So they could, yeah.
It's just, you heard how that Mary Bush,
Yeah?
when she said they wrote a letter from Germany and it says today is the 25th of December. They would not
So they
say
weren't a
Christmas.
part of Russia that was behind the Iron Curtain and you weren't.
Right, we were free and they were still there.
Oh, and if you'd have tried to get them, you would have been captured too then.
No, they would do something out there. They couldn't do anything because they were out of their hands. Yeah, and there was another thing. They collect all the, yeah, that was a free will, volunteer free. The Russian, they had a camp there, and they said, whoever wants to go back to Russian, we're leaving, we're collecting all the people. Put your name in. One lady went back, never had anything. And your dad put his name in, and he come with the truck in the morning. Into the truck, I said, what? I'm not going in that truck.
Dad wanted to go back to his parents.
Parents. And then I said, John says, come on, come on. I said, I am not going in that truck, and I'm not going to take my kids in that truck, but you have your free will. You want to go in that truck and go. But he couldn't. He didn't want to leave the family behind, and yet he wants his parents so badly. So there was the end of that. Those people went back, you never heard of it. I know how the Stalin would trick people. Go back and my kids. No,
We'd
no.
all be stuck in Russia now, probably dead.
Or slaving, or campsites, and I don't know what they would have done to us. And they said, it's like that one here and there, you hear people, but you don't hear any, like that, what's her name? My gosh, I can't, it's just Clementina's mother. Went back there, look up her relatives. We never heard. We never heard. She went back and thought she found her daughter somewhere. She got lost. Nothing. Do you think we'd be back and be a survivor?
Tell us about the night you left. I remember when I was little, you talked about the night you left to go on the boat. You were running or something, or...
Oh, when we left from Nizhny Novgorod. When we...
to go to the boat.
Go to the boat.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean from this boat? Oh, from Germany to this boat?
Yeah.
Oh, I know, yeah. Yeah, we, was, Alex Brown, he's in Victoria now. He was a friend of ours, and he brought some whiskey, and it was the last, at 9 o'clock, we had to be at the boat in the line. And he came and toasting through the night. Your dad didn't drink as much, but I didn't drink that much, but I didn't drink at all. But I drank that night. A few sips and I got sick. I couldn't get to that boat no matter what.
Oh.
And when he says drink, I said, I got kids to take. Well, I'm going to take care of the kids. And when the time came, he couldn't take care, but he went out and looking for milk. And I said, get some milk, maybe milk would help me. He got to the things they say, what a baby were. He says, I need a bottle of milk for my baby. He says, how old is the baby? He took off. He didn't know. That was for me. I was throwing up.
Well, were Ann and Dolly doing it all this time, and Lena and Bernard?
And Bernard, well, they were sleeping. I woke them up and I couldn't even dress them. I couldn't stand up. I'd take a drink of water and into the washroom.
And you got on the boat like that?
Well, he went and got some sour pickle. And that was my life saving. Got a sour pickle out of the store. And I ate half a pickle. And what I threw up was kind of a round ball, was all hairy. That's why I had so much problem with my stomach. And I threw that up, and I was just like, at the same minute, there was nothing wrong. I never was sick. Grabbed the kids and down to the water.
What did you have with you when you left?
Couple of suitcases, but they were shipped. We just put our little nighties and little suitcases, little handbags or whatever they were. And into the ship we got food, and I was never sick. 9 days on the ship.
Was it, where did you sleep on the ship? What was it like?
Bunk beds, and each man had their own section. And here was the ladies and the kids.
Was it clean?
Yeah. Good food. You have to go for your food through the ship down through a hall on the other end. And when you walk there, everything is puky because people are puking left and right. Some didn't even make it out. I brought some girls food. I looked after my kids. So that drink wasn't on your dad there. I'm never gonna be sick. He came to me, help me, I'm sick. I was the only one serving people there.
So, when the ship landed, where did it land?
St. John.
Newfoundland?
Mm-hmm.
And then what did you do?
Halifax. I thought it was Halifax, but when Anne had to get her Anne got her birth certificate back from Poland here. So she had to go through all these. And Anne says we landed in St. John.
Oh, maybe you just got confused.
I think they stopped it in Halifax and got it to next.
Then you went on a train?
And we went on a train, and 5 days on the train.
Oh.
And my kids got the measles. Got sick on the last day, and there was Otto, you know Otto,
Yeah.
Fishel. He could speak English. Oh, he was the only one who could speak English. So I asked him, how long? How long since we get to Red Deer? Oh, 5 hours. Every hour I asked him. Just that I want to hide my kids. They were running up with fever. And if they said if they have a sickness, they get shipped right back. So I was hiding my kids and hiding it and run. And after train, and there was John and his wife with the car to load us up. And I hide the kids. And hide him the nut to show. So we got in his house. I said, my kids have to go lay down. And I told the kids, no complaints, no matter what pains you have. No complaints. I look after you. And so that was our story.
And what did you do? Was John nice to you that first night you came?
I don't know, but the first night wasn't too bad, but the second he said, we're praying rosary, so you have to come and pray rosary, and I said, no. I pray my rosary. In this house, he says, you pray where I'm telling you. I said, they prayed in English. I said, I don't understand your words. I have my own. I pray my own rosary with my kids. And here goes a battle, himmel, herpet, sacramenty, Bibel, netto, die knie. We stond hem zelf geknied voor them. But I didn't.
What did Dad do?
Your dad says, no, ja, no, we stond ook beter geknied dat hij, want hij had net gern gebeden, was English or the was Dutch. He wasn't really, he didn't want to kneel down there, but we didn't. We went and prayed our own.
She remembered.
Who?
Was that when Lena remembered kneeling and praying the rosary and she didn't know the words and she kept getting hit because she didn't know the words? Who was poking her? Somebody?
I don't know, was it a thief or was that a police? Getty.
Yeah?
We left it there. At least one her for a week.
Yeah?
And I think, and we didn't have a car. Lena was so glad when she saw me. She says, never again I'll leave your side, Mom. Because there was something about poking and praying and not understand anything.
They were making fun of her.
And fun.
How old was Bernard then?
Bernard was, we came here, we were here about 4 or 5 weeks, maybe. Turned 3 years old.
So he was really young. He wouldn't remember anything.
He doesn't remember nothing, no.
So how long were you out at John Stevens?
Maybe a week and a half or 2 in between that line, I'm not too sure.
Was his wife good to you?
Oh, the taker was good. Oh, yeah, the kids was good. It was him. That is the nachtkummer, like 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, drunk from the bar. We didn't know what bar or hotel was or drunk anyway. She stood up and cooked him homemade noodles when he got in the house. He was cruel to his wife, cruel man. I don't know how God ever accepts those type of people, I don't know. And yet,
So then, did Liz Getty live far from them?
Could be about 10 kilometers, 10 miles. They called Lacombe. They called where John Stevens is called Lacombe, and where Liz lived called Panoka.
Oh, yeah.
So those things
It's
are not.
close there, yeah, I know how far.
But they are on the farm out there, which is between Lacombe and between Panoka.
So did Barbara come out and visit you?
I think I seen her twice after that doing.
I don't understand if was she old or was
She was old.
She couldn't travel anymore.
No, when I was down at Macklin with Darlene Benny, we went and visited her, and she was in it wasn't an old folks home, but an old seniors place of your own. So her kids went and cleaned and looked after and cooked her there. And after that I never did anything. We came back and ja, hat gesagt, mein Kind, ich bin alt. She was old, there's nothing she could do anymore. And yet I don't even remember how old she was. Was she 70, was she 80? I should never ask him when his mother died how old she was last time.
Yeah, well, you'll get a chance to.
But I asked John how old his mom was.
So she did say my king, huh? She probably felt hurt in her heart for you.
Yeah, probably couldn't even be with us to question more about her sister. I don't know, we never got together. Is it because we were at those Stevens or, and she was living in Macklin, we were living in Ponoka, and then we started running away from Ponoka to get farther away from the Stevens. And we got to...
I don't understand where Constantine was either. He knew you were there. They weren't that old. Why didn't they go see you? Why didn't they talk to you? Some
They
of
were
them
old.
that old that they couldn't travel anymore.
Constantine, that's...
Grandma's brother, the Kieberlien.
Yeah, we were there and they were talking. We were there for, I think, 3 days with them.
And what did he say? Like, did he ask about
Oh,
the
we
kids
did
there?
talk in those 3 days about Russian. I think,
Did he say, is there anything I can do for you? Or how are you making out? Or, I mean, I just feel, Mom, if my sister's son came from another country...
but we didn't need anything.
No?
No, your dad worked. We lived in Funny Doon in that house when we went down there. We had a car. We didn't have money, but nobody has money in this world. Even if those old folks had a little saving, but we didn't need anything. Absolutely nothing.
I just wonder if the Sebans were so powerful in their awful way that nobody went near them. Because I just see these two people coming from another country and landing in that spot there, and the older people not going there to see them right away when you came over in '51. You know, I would run.
No, I think that, you see, last night I discovered just a bit of it, and yet I had such a headache, and last night I think my brains were blocked. I just got a little wave, and I got lost when I want to talk. I couldn't proper talk last night.
Alfred.
It says we never knew that, so nobody went there. So in the olden days back, as Elizabeth Stephen and Barbara Oberst, I think that was a great distance. Only probably an emergency, a death or a wedding. I think that's the only thing probably as sisters, because the Stevens weren't normal.
Yeah.
And how do you think Barbara felt? How her sister lives with that Stephen man, and the kids come along like that? Don't you think Barbara was hurt?
Just like I hurt sometimes.
For a sister?
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
so she stayed closer to Constantine.
And when they had that news from the church, sure, Barbara picked it up and went to Elizabeth. And they had a talk about that. But Elizabeth were... Wait a minute. Elizabeth was... well, she was dead by the time they got here. It had to happen all before, like Ed Stephen, and they mistreat their mother and left her stuck with do you think that Barbara could take her kids to go and say, you do that or that? They would demolish them.
Yeah.
They just didn't go near it.
That's what Alfred was indicating last night. We just
And I think that's why we never got close to these people.
Yeah.
We weren't introduced with we saw the West Bubble, and I think with these Stevens, even their kids, they didn't even bother. John Stephen took us, and I think that was the end of it.
He took over.
Yeah.
So the Kieberlien kids and the Oberst kids stuck closer because of Constantine and Barbara. They stuck close to one another. And if they had taken you to their place, it would have been totally different. Dad and you didn't know anything about bars or hotels or drinking or that kind of wasteful life.
No.
You would have been lived differently too.
Oh, yeah, but that's okay. We made it our own way. I had the goodwill, and your dad want to get away from them, and But he gets away and goes right, bounce right back to him again.
Well,
And it made the difficult to live a clean life.
yeah.
Now, do you think you can shut that up for a bit and I won't smoke?
Yeah.
Do you think,
Well, Mom, I know you're tired, and I want to thank you for sharing a bit of your life with me today.
you're welcome.
It's been hard to listen to. I got knots in my throat up here. But Mom, may God bless you, bring you through this operation, and when we meet again, we can talk some more.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
God's will be done.
Okay.
I love you.
Oh, gosh, I love you. Oh. To the next future, if we make another deal out of it, I think we can do much more in again a little.
Yeah.
I gotta.
Okay. Just a minute, Mom.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Mom.